Gary, a late Ryan Scott equaliser sees us get a point against Ramsgate. Good fight back from the boys, but certainly not our best today.
No, didn't really deserve much more than a point, if I'm being brutally honest. We were again started the game on the front foot. Again, started in the ascendancy. Again, got into some really good positions and good places, and good areas of the pitch, and just our execution again. The small details that mean so much in all of your offensive work just wasn't there again. We've managed to find a way again to go behind, which again rocks us and again puts us in a place that we've mentally going to be challenged, and we struggled for that middle period of the game, if I'm being honest with you. I thought we come in at half time, we tried to be calm with the chaps and get them back realigned and where they needed to be, and we can't keep making wholesale changes even at when at times the performance warrants it. But we were calm with them at half time. We wanted a reaction. We wanted to be better in them moments that were presented to us. And again, we huffed and puffed for 10-15 minutes. Never quite found our way. We then have a big moment in the game where Elliot Long has a shot that is blocked on the line by his own player, which would have made it 1-1, and then all of a sudden a little bit of magic from there, centre forward 5 minutes later, and you're chasing the game from 2 down. And we've obviously found a way to gain a point, but let me tell you, and I shared it with a group, and I very much shared it with the management team after it's 2 points dropped. As much as it feels in the position we found ourselves with point gained, we should be winning these games at home, and we're not quite finding the remedy, the formula, the performance, over the entirety of the game to warrant wins, and it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, obviously we had a fantastic run of form here last season at home.
Yeah.
How do we get back to that level and that level of ruthlessness that we often saw from last season?
Look, there's an edginess, there's an anxiety in our performance here. I think that goes without saying. It's a demanding crowd, but it's a supportive crowd as well. And when things don't go quite our way, you hear a lot more noise than maybe when things do go our way. But that's football. That's football on all levels. All emotional fans that are that kick every ball with you, and we're just finding it pretty difficult at the moment to keep performance levels and confidence at the levels that's required when we have a bit of adversity. We've changed personnel. We've been quite consistent in shape, but we've looked at personnel changes. It might just need a shape change. We're looking at all different areas where we can gain improvement, and I'd have to add that there's a few players underperforming. I think that's pretty evident to me that there's a few that are underperforming, but that's something that we're trying to bear with. But we get pretty emotional on the touchline, and if you look at the few games leading into today, maybe a little bit animated at times and a little bit too noisy. But we've tried to curb that today and take a different approach. But we've not had the desired return again today, and it feels really disappointing, and it feels like it's 2 points dropped. But like you've just said, it's a point gain, even if it doesn't feel like it is at this moment in time. But like with every point gained in this division, you have to respect the point.
Yeah, it's a busy week for Blues with Cheshunt on Tuesday, followed by the FA Cup on Saturday. Can we expect to see some of them changes or little tweaks in the side to try and get that edge?
We're looking all the time. I think that's something that we have to do as a management team when it's not quite got the continuity and the performance levels to where it needs to be. We made a couple of slight adjustments today, just two personnel changes, and nothing to do with more than we've got 17, 18 extremely good fit players at the moment. We'll have to look, we'll digest and dissect today's game. I will watch it back. It may be a tough watch at times, but we'll definitely watch it back, and we'll make sure we put a plan and formula together to go to Cheshunt and try and, obviously get back to winning ways. I think it's a division, when you look at the top end of the table, there's a couple of surprises up there and a couple of clubs doing extremely well, and then you've got three extremely, well-backed big hitters in the divisions, struggling to find some form. We're not on our own. There's a couple of others that we're expected to do a lot better. We have to very much stick together as a group. I think there's there's a group that's pretty despondent and disappointed, and we need to make sure we get it right for Tuesday night.
Yeah, obviously a first for Joe Taylor as well today. What were your instructions to him, and what were you pleased to see?
Yeah, well, look, go on and score. I mean, he's in a challenging moment in his career. You know, most of it's gone his way. He's scored plentiful goals. He's a great talent. We're not getting quite the best version of Joe yet because he's had 4 or 5 weeks of not doing too much at his previous club, and that's tough to get him up and running. I know everyone's wanting him to play and wanting him to be in the starting 11. He was brought in to score goals. I'm overly pleased that he's come on and contributed today. He's got himself a goal. He's contributed to the turnaround. I think all of the subs, and we say subs, you say game finishers now or game changers. I think all of them have contributed to turning the game on its head, and we've managed to find an equaliser. And if you watch that back and you watch the highlights back, which Ben has been doing extremely well with over the last few weeks, you'll see there was one right at the death that we get blocked on the line to win it, and then 2 players get in each other's way to tap it into an empty net. So it could have quite easily been 3 points. I don't think we'd have been as pleased with any more pleased with the performance, but the result could have quite easily been all 3 points for us. Credit goes to Ramsgate. They had a lot of problems today as well, and like what we've seen in all 7 games we've played this year, we're getting the best version of our opposition, and they fought really hard to gain that point, and they'll feel disappointed it isn't 3. So credit to their performance, and we live to fight another day.
And finally, just a word on Tyrone Miller-Rodney. Obviously, got substituted on, then came off just a word.
Yeah, he took a whack in the face right on the eye. I don't know if he was scratched on the eyeball or banged it, but he couldn't see. He was seeing double vision out of one of his eyes, and just couldn't quite align with the ball and the players, and just didn't feel like he could continue. And I thought the impact he had made, he'd made a lot of difference when he come on. He showed great energy and great enthusiasm like he always does, and it was a loss to have him come off the pitch. If you look at, we've ended up with a 9/10, player-wise, playing on the base of our midfield, and 2 out-and-out 10s playing in our 8s with 2 up front. So we were very offensive-minded in that latter stages, simply because of the loss of Terrell quite early on and the changes we'd made. But we found a way to gain a point. That's a quality within the group when it looked like it was going to be nothing. But we've got to be disappointed as a group to have give up the 2 points at home.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Gary.
You're welcome.